10 years ago, Malaga were minutes away from a Champions League semi-final. Now, the club find themselves in Spanish football's third tier following relegation last season. In this video, I will be taking charge of the club for the next 10 seasons to see if I can restore some of their former glories. And if you like this sort of content, drop a like on today's video and let me know down in that comment section who you would like to see me rebuild next. Going into season 1, you can see the talent levels of this squad and they really shouldn't be in the predicament that they are in real life. Our best player is currently 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 𝙈𝙚, who is one of the elder statesmen at the club, aged just 28. Other than that, we have 5 players who could have 5-star potential, so we're going to try our best to nurture them through this save to make sure they develop as best as possible. In this rebuild, we will be rocking 𝘼𝙗𝙗's Grogu tactic, which looks like this with the current best 11. This season, we will participate in the Spanish Federation First Division, the county's third tier. The only safe passage back into the second division is through automatic promotion and winning the league. Otherwise, you enter an 8-team playoff, and nobody wants that. Following last season's relegation, we are odds-on favourites to get the promotion done this year. In the league, we were exceptional this season, as you would expect for a team this size at this level. So much so that we actually went unbeaten the whole season to, of course, finish top of the league and gain that automatic promotion. Winning Division B meant that we would also have to face the winners of Division A in a Champions playoff. This doesn't actually benefit either side, you don't get anything out of this, but it's kind of some sort of bragging rights for the following season, as you will be back in the same league. And this season's Division A winners were another fallen giant, Deportivo La Coruña. The tie was played over 2 legs, home and away, and we were at home first. In the first half, Lucas Perez saw his penalty saved by our goalkeeper, but Depor still managed to take the lead through PK. However, we were able to pull a goal back ourselves through 𝘼𝙗𝙗. On the road, the game was a little more frantic, with the lead changing hands twice on the night, but ultimately, the game would be decided via a penalty shootout. In the shootout, Lucas Perez saw a second penalty saved in as many games by our goalkeeper, who then came up clutch to deny Davo, giving 𝘼𝙗𝙗 the opportunity to see us win the game, and he did just that, sending the opposition goalkeeper the wrong way. We also did pretty well in the Copa del Rey, progressing through the first 2 rounds before losing to a second division side in the 3rd round. But to be honest, the cup is not my priority right now. Going into the summer, we actually have some transfer budget, but we will most likely move that into the wage budget and dive into the free transfer market. We were pretty active in this summer transfer window with 6 players leaving the club and 8 new arrivals. Alex Calvo departed to FC Andorra for 850k, and Christian Gutierrez left the club to join Eibar for 475k. That money allowed us to bring in 6 free transfers, the best of which being Dani Sanchez and Nelson Mont, who will take the spot at centre-back. We also secured 2 loan signings for the season, as Arno Sola came in from Almeria and goalkeeper James Trafford came in on loan from Burnley. This is how the team looks going into season number 2 in the Spanish second tier, where we're predicted to finish mid-table, but we are expected to fare the best of all the promoted sides. I have to jump in here because season 2 was remarkable. We managed to make the step up superbly, winning our first 13 games in a row to get off to an absolute flyer in the league. It was largely down to striker Roberto Fernandez, who netted 35 goals in 40 appearances in all competitions this season. As you can tell from the form moving into the second half of the season, we continue to dominate, which sent us all the way to the top of the table, bagging 111 points and waltzing to the title, beating Valladolid to the trophy by a whopping 33 points. However, this remarkable season didn't end in just the league, because we had a sensational cup run. We progressed through the first couple of rounds before coming up against La Liga side Real Betis. I was expecting this to be a massive challenge, but we somehow managed to steamroll them at home, winning the tie 4-0. Being the lower ranked side in these ties was huge for us, as in Spain, that means you get to play your cup matches at home. In the fourth round, we dispatched Athletic Bilbao in extra time thanks to a brace from Lauren Zuniga before sending Getafe home after a penalty shootout. That result saw us progress into the semi-final, which is a two-legged affair where we would take on Rayo Vallecano and we were at home first. Vallecano were bottom of La Liga at the time and we were flying, so seeing us win the game was no huge surprise, but the 5-0 result was very much unexpected. On the road, Roberto Fernandez bagged a brace on the way to a 2-1 win on the night and a 7-1 aggregate win. So we'd somehow managed to make our way to the final where we had the chance to pull off an upset to top all upsets as we took on Real Madrid. However, this is sadly where the fairy tale came to an end as Madrid asserted their dominance, even including a goal from Ivan Toney of all people. Fernandez did hit a consolation goal for us, but this was clearly a step too far for a second-tier team. So we gained automatic promotion from the league and were runners-up in the Copa del Rey, but I'm looking forward to being back in La Liga next season. And for that return, we have a transfer budget of just under £13 million, along with 70k a week added into the wage budget. Sadly, this summer we had to say goodbye to a great servant as Roberto Fernandez left the club for Saudi Arabia for £6 million, and he will be a huge loss. On the incoming side of things, we pulled in 5 new players, spending a total of £18.75 million. Firstly, we pulled the trigger to make James Trafford's loan from Burnley and Arno Sola's loan from Almeria permanent as they joined for £8 million and £3 million respectively. Next on the list was Memorial Benita, who joined from Feyenoord for £7.5 million, and he can play anywhere up and down the right hand side of the field, which is supremely useful. We also signed Colombian winger Oscar Pereira from Atlético Nacional for £135k, and finally we secured the services of Jandro Olana on a free transfer. So heading back into La Liga, this is how the team looks in terms of personnel. However, we are predicted to finish stone dead last in the league. And somehow we will participate in the Spanish Super Cup this season. I have no idea how this happened, so you're going to have to let me know down in the comment section. Let's open up by talking about the Super Cup, where it was a repeat of last season's cup final as we took on Real Madrid. Sadly for us, the result was the same as Madrid won the game through goals from former Barcelona man Nico and Renier. And sadly for us, this season wasn't so fruitful in the Copa del Rey either. We progressed through the first couple of rounds with solid results, but were then drawn against Real Valladolid on the road in the quarterfinals, and this is where our run ended with a 2-1 loss, with Valladolid scoring both their goals late on. However, our main objective this season was survival in La Liga, and when you look at our results from the season, there's a lot of red in there, with smatterings of green here and there. Our key man this season was David Laruba, who was top of both goal scoring and assist charts, with a return of 19 goals and 9 assists in all competitions. However, after winter, we were pretty impressive in the league, losing against the teams you'd expect us to lose to, but we even ended the season winning 5 of our last 7 games. That final flurry saw us climb up the table to finish in 7th and qualify for the Europa Conference League for Season 4 in a year that Barcelona went unbeaten on the way to a 28th La Liga title. All in all, I was very happy with how this season went as we adapted much better than I was expecting, being back in the Spanish top flight. Going into this summer window, we will have little over £70 million to spend on players, but the biggest change is in our wage budget, which jumps from £190k a week to almost £500,000 a week. For consecutive summers, we've lost our best performing player from the previous season. This time as David Laruba left us for a payday in Saudi Arabia, with us getting a transfer fee of £11.75 million. That transfer fee allowed us to be very active in the transfer market, bringing in 5 players for a total of £37 million. First up, we pulled in Serbian youngster Mihajlo Cvetkovic, who can play up front for £4.4 million. Next was the addition of Russian winger Denis Makarov from Dinamo Moscow for £7.5 million, and he was followed in by former fan favourite Andrea Pepetti from Brescia for £5 million. And then we signed Luis Suarez for Not the one you're thinking about. We signed the former 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 man to be our main goal threat for the season for an initial fee of £14 million. And finally, we picked up Bruno Gomes from Brazil for £6.25 million, and he looks very well rounded and can play in 2 key positions for us. I felt like these additions definitely improved us, and the season preview reflects that, as we've jumped from 1,000 to 1 odds last season all the way up to 450 to 1 this season. However, something we do have to contend with this season is the additional fixtures from the Europa Conference League, where we will enter in the 4th qualifying round. We started our La Liga campaign much better than last season, picking up pockets of good results, especially at the turn of the year, where we won 7 out of 8 games through December and January. It seems like the signing of Suarez was a super successful one, as he bagged 36 goals in 36 La Liga appearances this season, bagging him the Golden Boot. We finished the La Liga campaign strong and even picked up an impressive draw against Barcelona on the way to a 6th place finish, which will see us enter the Europa League next season. However, our Season 2 cup run is seeming more and more like a fluke, as we were bounced in the 3rd round this season, losing 4-1 away to Villarreal, who somehow have 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩. And finally, we have the Europa Conference League to talk about. We entered in the 4th qualification round, where we brushed aside SJK from Finland, and the league phase was also pretty straightforward, as we powered on to a 5th place finish and automatically qualified for the round of 16. In that tie, we were drawn against a side from Bosnia that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, and we managed to pick up a nice win on the road in the first leg. Back in Spain, things were much more comfortable, as we dominated from the first whistle to run out 3-1 winners on the night and 4-1 on aggregate. That result meant we moved into the quarterfinals, where we would take on Genk, and this time we were at home first. Oscar Pereira opened the scoring for us, only to see his goal cancelled out by Mark McKenzie. However, we had the last laugh, as Suarez put us back in the lead late on from the penalty spot. In Belgium, we extended our lead through Denis Makarov, but let 2 late goals slip to send the game into extra time. The additional 30 minutes couldn't break the side, so we had to go to penalties, where James Trafford turned up huge in the shootout, saving Carstenson's penalty to see us move into the semi-finals. This would be our biggest test so far, as we take on Italian side Atalanta, and we be at home in the first leg, and Suarez really came to play. Makarov opened the scoring for us in the 1st minute, but then Suarez took over the game, scoring an impressive hat-trick to give us a 4-0 lead in the tie to take over to Italy. And we continue to be impressive on the road, winning 2-0 on the night and the tie 6-0 on aggregate. So we advanced into the final, where we take on CSKA Sofia from Bulgaria, but we proved to be far too strong for them, winning the game 3-0 to win the Europa Conference League. And our success is being rewarded, as we've been given a transfer budget of £28 million, and our wage budget takes another huge jump for next season, as it will be £810k a week. Yet another summer, yet another key player departing us for Saudi Arabia. This time it was Arnaud Sola who left us for pastures new, departing the club for £17.5 million. That was the only major outgoing, but we used those funds to pull in 6 new faces. First up, we signed former Valencia left-back Jesus Vázquez, who was now at Udinese for as little as £1.6 million. And on the other side of the field, we signed Sergio Correa from Girona for an initial £6 million. Moving up the pitch, we signed Croatian youth international Martin Butrina from Everton for £7.5 million. And finally, in the attacking third of the pitch, we signed João Marques for £9.5 million, and he looks tasty for that right-hand side. So this is how the team is looking right now, and you can see we're much more balanced than we've ever been. And these additions have made us better in the eyes of the season preview, as we're now predicted to finish in 10th. In other competitions, we will be making our first appearance of this save in the Europa League after winning the Conference League last season. This year we started the season superbly and looked like the finished package, even beating Real Madrid away at the Bernabeu in October. And from January we really kicked into high gear, only losing games away from home for the remainder of the season. As per usual in this save, we closed out the season winning 8 from our last 9 games to achieve a 5th place finish, just 2 points outside of that top 4. But the eagle-eyed of you will notice that we are in the Champions League next season, so let's talk about the Europa League. We entered in the league phase and put together a great series of results, winning 6 of our 8 games in the league phase to finish 5th in the table as well as qualify for the round of 16. We drew Belgian side Club Brugge here and we were on the road first, where we battled back from a goal down to win the games 3-1 with Suarez bagging a brace. The game in Spain was much more dull, ending 0-0, so we progressed into the quarter-finals. In the quarters, we faced Monaco, who dominated the first game at our place and took the lead through 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 from the spot, but 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩 pulled us level towards the end of the game with a lovely solo goal. The second leg was pretty eventful as we gave away another penalty inside the 90 minutes, but this time 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 saw his penalty saved by James Trafford to keep the game level. In extra time, Monaco took the lead through Florian Balogun, but it was Marquez again who pulled us level, rifling his shot off the underside of the bar to send the game to penalties. This penalty shootout was one of the worst displays of spot kicks I've seen, as 5 penalties were missed or saved between both sides, with James Trafford dominating between the sticks, saving 3 Monaco penalties to see us progress to the semi-finals. The draw threw up an all-Spanish affair as we take on Atletico Madrid, a team who finished above us in La Liga. We were at home for the first leg and we strolled into a 3-0 lead thanks to Luis Suarez bagging 2 goals from the spot before Martin Butraina added a third deep into injury time. At the Metropolitano, Atleti came out swinging and João Felix pulled a goal back, but that was all they could muster from a dominant performance to see us move into the final. We'd face Rennes in the final to go back-to-back in European competition, and it was a tight affair, but Oscar Pereira bagged the only goal of the game to see us win the Europa League. And finally, in the Copa del Rey, we put together a series of good results to get to the semi-finals yet again, where we face Real Madrid. But despite beating them twice in La Liga, Madrid taught us a little bit of a lesson by beating us 4-0 at the Bernabeu, and then for good measure beating us at home as well. This was yet another amazing season, and we will enter into the Champions League again next season. And to make us Champions League ready, we've been given a transfer budget of £27 million. We've got to a point with the rebuild of this team where it doesn't need a drastic overhaul every single summer, but we did crack out the Wonder Kid Finder to add 2 new faces. First, we added Marko Modric from Dinamo Zagreb, who will be a great addition on the left wing. He cost us £8 million. And we also picked up Dorian Poulin from Club Brugge to be our new main man in the middle of the park. He cost us a hefty £35 million, but I think he's going to be worth every penny. We will be pinning these 2 new gents into these positions for the season to ensure their development and give them the best chance of reaching their potential. But this season we have lots on our plate, as not only do we return to the Champions League, but as Europa League winners we will play in the UEFA Super Cup, but will also be part of the European/South American Club Challenge, where we will take on Vasco da Gama of Brazil. We started the season with the European South American Club Challenge, where we dispatched Vasco da Gama pretty comfortably, with Luis Suarez netting an impressive 4 goals. However, that is where our cup success ended this season, and it was in pre-season, so it was kind of before the season even started. In the UEFA Super Cup, we faced PSG, who showed that there's still plenty of work to be done with this Malaga side if we want to take them all the way to the top. Last season's Champions League winners rattled 4 goals past us with 4 different goal scorers. And speaking of the Champions League, we made our return to the competition this season, but it definitely didn't go according to plan. We entered in the league phase where results were mixed at best, with us only picking up wins against Inter Milan and Porto. Sadly, that wasn't good enough to qualify for the knockout stages, only gathering 9 points from our 8 games. And in the Copa del Rey, we progressed through the first and second round before crashing out to Deportivo in the third round. However, it wasn't all doom and gloom this season, because our performance in La Liga was truly brilliant. We kicked off the season with a loss to Valencia, but then put together a strong run through into 2029 that even included wins against both Madrid sides and a draw with Barcelona. Luis Suarez continues to be exceptional for us and worth every single penny of the 16.75 million we paid for him 3 seasons ago, as he scooped yet another La Liga Golden Boot, this time with 31 goals in 36 games. In the second half of the season, we continued to be exceptional, only losing our games on the road to Real Madrid and Barcelona, who were the only 2 sides to finish above us in La Liga this season, as we finished 3rd in the table. It feels like we're not a million miles away from being a La Liga winning side, but there's still some work to do, and I think we need a few more bodies in through the door. And to do so, the board have given me a budget of just £13 million, so we're going to have to try and make a few moves ourselves. This summer we had only one major outgoing, as Oscar Pereira left the club to join Bordeaux for £1.9 million. I felt like this was a shame, as I really like him as a player, but New Gen Modric is now our best player in that position, so he had to move on. And we also moved on Laurent Zuniga to 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 for 700k. On the incoming side of things, we picked up former Leicester City defender Çağlar Söyüncü from Fenerbahçe for £3.5 million. Next, we added young Spanish new gen Javier Aramas from Atletico Madrid's B team for £4.6 million, and I think his raw pace and athleticism could be a problem for defences. And finally, we picked up a former Real Madrid youth player and wonder kid David Pineda on a free transfer, as he left Madrid with his contract coming to an end so that he could be a starter somewhere. However, to make Pineda a starter here, we needed to transition him into becoming our defensive midfielder, and to help with that transition, he will be one of 4 pinned players this season alongside 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, Modric and Aramas. This might be a risky strategy, but I'm praying that the youth comes up clutch here. Going into the season, the schedule has settled down a little bit more, as we just have the 4 competitions to worry about, and we are clearly getting better, as the board are expecting a Champions League qualification in the league this year. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This season was pretty mid, as we put all of our faith and expectation into the youth setup. But to be honest, whilst they got lots of minutes, the actual performance drop-off wasn't vast. Our biggest success was again in La Liga, where we finished 4th and secured Champions League football for yet another season. But we have massively regressed from where we were last year. However, Suarez continues to be a bagsman, securing yet another La Liga Golden Boot. In the Spanish Super Cup, we progressed past Rayo Vallecano in the semi-finals with a 4-2 win, but then we suffered yet another cup defeat to Real Madrid, who scored 2 goals in the 90th minute to win that Super Cup. And in the Copa del Rey, we progressed past lower league opposition in the first couple of rounds before losing to Athletic Bilbao at the quarter-final stage. Finally, we had a better showing in the Champions League this season, as we progressed through the league phase, as we picked up 4 wins and 3 draws, with just a single loss coming away to Bayern Munich, to see us finish 10th in the table on 15 points. This meant we'd be in the knockout playoff round, where we take on Dutch champions Ajax. We were in Holland for the first leg, and Suarez opened the scoring for us, but his goal was pegged back by Nassi Univar. Back home, we were very impressive, putting in a dominant performance to win the game 3-2 on the night, but to be honest, the scoreline was closer than the game suggests when you look at the rest of the stats. This set up a round of 16 tie against juggernauts Liverpool, and this time we would be at home first. We took the lead on the night through new gen Javier Aramas, but his goal was pegged back as Dominik Szoboszlai scored for Liverpool from the spot. Dorian 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 pulled us back in front with his long-range strike before Savetkovic added a 3rd in second half injury time. So we had a 2-goal lead to take back to Anfield for the second leg. Do you think we could hold on? Well, sadly for us, Liverpool kicked into gear in the second leg, and goals from Núñez, Konaté and Kiwior saw Liverpool progress with a 4-3 aggregate win. Season 7 was good, but not spectacular, but I feel the drop-off this season was worth it to get the key minutes into our new gens, who have really started to develop into key players for us at the club. We will be dipping into the transfer market again for some new gen talent, and this summer we have £22 million in the transfer budget to make things happen. This summer we said goodbye to one of the club's longest servants during my tenure, as James Trafford left the club to join Bologna for £12 million. He was followed out the door by a Malaga original, as Andres Caro departs for Saudi Arabia for £10.25 million. However, those additional funds allowed me to go shopping, and we spent a bulk of that on Thiago Parente, who joined from Benfica for £17.5 million. Other summer signings included Tobias Palacio from Argentinos Juniors for 5.75 million and our new first choice goalkeeper in Marcelo Mora, who joined us from Colo Colo for as little as £3.6 million. We have lots of talented players at the club now, but to continue their development by assuring selection, we will be pinning these 5 lads into position for the season. This year we're down to just the 3 competitions, and I will be gunning for the La Liga title this year. And I have a good feeling about this one. I don't know why. Well, it turns out my good feeling was definitely just optimism. We started the season really well, going unbeaten until we faced Madrid at the end of October. But towards the end of the season is where things really fell off. Between March and April, we only picked up 5 points from the 25 available to throw away any sort of title challenge. We did, however, finish in 3rd place for a second time in this save, as I seemingly cannot get past Madrid or Barcelona. In the Copa del Rey, we advanced through the first few rounds, including an impressive away win at Real Betis before losing to Sevilla on the road in extra time. And finally, in the Champions League, we moved through the league phase with ease yet again, picking up 16 points to finish 8th and squeak into the automatic qualification places for the round of 16. We were drawn against German side Dortmund here, and we were on the road first, and it was Dortmund who took the lead in the tie through Thiago Almada. Javier Armas pulled a goal back for us with 15 minutes remaining, but Dortmund regained the lead 9 minutes later through Luis Opinda latching onto a mistake from our goalkeeper. However, I was still confident that we could get the job done back in Spain. The lead in this tie would switch hands a lot as David Anton put the Germans ahead, but we would pull goals back from Palacio and Suarez to send the tie to extra time. It was a very open game, but with 3 minutes of the additional 30 remaining, we were undone by a long throw routine to see Dortmund win the tie 4-3 on aggregate. I don't know what it is, but it really feels like this Malaga side are kind of nearly men, and this is a real tag that I want to shake with the remaining few seasons. The club finances are now looking much stronger, and we've been given just over £33 million to spend on players this summer, but I do have to say we're operating with the 9th biggest budget in the division. So I think we're doing pretty well. Going into Season 9, there were no major outgoings, but we did raid Bournemouth for some new faces, bringing in left-back Milos Kerkez on a free transfer and centre-back Ilya Zarabiani for £30 million. We also picked up another Benfica starlet in Thiago Freitas, who can operate in 2 key positions in our midfield, so it seems a bit of a steal at 15 million. So another £45 million was spent on this team, and it's starting to look as good as it ever has, with Dorian Poulon now up there as one of the best footballers in the world. Competitions-wise, the Spanish Super Cup comes back into our schedule for the Season 9, and we are now joint 3rd favourites for the league title alongside Atletico Madrid. Oh yeah, and Poulain is now in the Media Dream 11 in midfield alongside Camavinga and Pedri. So you can kind of see how good he is. Season 9 was a season of near misses, but I really do think this is our best season of the rebuild so far. In the Super Cup, we threw away a 2-goal lead to Barcelona, who then went on to beat us on penalties, with Poulain and Dani Rodriguez seeing their spot kick saved by the Barca keeper. And in the Copa del Rey, we progressed through the first few rounds against lower league opposition before sending Real Sociedad home in extra time. This meant we were in the semi-finals yet again, where we would face who else but bloody Real Madrid again. And sadly for us, the result was as it always is against Madrid, who won the game at the Bernabeu 3-1 before beating us at our place 2-0. In the Champions League, we were impressive in the league phase, winning 7 out of our 8 games, with the only loss coming away to Chelsea. That actually saw us finish top of the league phase table and move automatically into the round of 16, where we managed to get some rotten luck to draw Liverpool again. We played them 2 seasons ago and crashed out, but we did actually beat them in the league phase this season, so I was optimistic of progression. At Anfield, Liverpool opened up a commanding 4-1 lead, and back in Spain we pulled a goal back early but as we pushed to get back into the tie, Liverpool were able to pick us off on the counter with 2 second-half goals to win the tie 6-2 on aggregate. And finally, in La Liga, we started phenomenally, only conceding 2 goals in our first 11 fixtures. New-gen goalkeeper Marcelo Mora really stepped up to become a first-team player, managing to keep clean sheets in half of our league fixtures this season. And this season saw the emergence of one of our own new-gen talents, as Francisco Suarez had his first full season with the first team and rewarded us with 32 goals in 54 appearances in all competitions. In the second half of the season, we were very much in the hunt for the title, but 4 draws in 5 games threw us behind Madrid and Barcelona, and that, coupled with losses to Barca and Cadiz on the final day of the season, saw us finishing third, 8 points behind winners Barcelona. So when you look at the bigger picture, this was definitely our best season so far, and we are on the cusp of greatness. We've got one more season in the tank, and we've got a whopping £91 million in our transfer budget, so let's have one final roll of the dice. This summer, we got our business done early, identifying key targets and spending that huge transfer budget. First up, we signed midfielder Ricardo Ruiz from Levante for £41.5 million, and he was followed through the door by Portuguese international Carlos Costa, who joined us from PSG for £45 million. And finally, we picked up a real player in Dani Vivian, who joined us from Athletic Bilbao for £25 million. Sometimes it's not all about wonder kids, sometimes you need those veterans with that little bit of nous to actually get over the line and win things, and that's what I was hoping would happen here. This is how the team looks going into the final season, and I'm super happy with the work that's been done to put this team together, but 𝘼𝙗𝙤 continues to look unreal and ultimately making the rest of the squad look bad. This year we were playing the same 4 competitions as last season, but we're still the 3rd favourites for the La Liga title. If you're still here watching this video at this point, I want to thank you. It's been a long one and I really appreciate your support throughout this year and ultimately this video. Thank you yet again. Let me know if you are still here by commenting the word 𝘼𝙗𝙤 down below. He has been our star man this save, and I want to see who is still here at this point of the video. But let's get into the results for Season 10. The first trophy on offer for us this season was the Spanish Super Cup, where we took on Real Madrid in the semis. It was a tight game, but former Madrid youth prospect 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙗 popped up with the only goal of the game to see us progress to the final. We took on Barca in that final, who played a weakened side, but we didn't really care as Marco Modric lashed home the only goal of the game to see us win our first trophy in 5 years. And in the Copa del Rey, we were on cruise control all the way through to the final, where we faced Barcelona for a second successive final this season. This time Barcelona came out on top, with centre-half Chadi Riyad scoring this long-range banger. Onto the Champions League, where we had mixed results in the league phase, but did manage to pick up enough victories to see us finish 14th in the table and qualify for the knockout stages. We did have to play in a playoff where we were drawn against Napoli, and we would have to travel to Naples for the first leg. Surprisingly for me, Victor Osimhen was still at Napoli and he managed to bag an impressive hat-trick, but Ricardo Ruiz scored an injury-time goal to give us a lifeline to take back to Spain. We left it late at home, but we did manage to find a breakthrough, and after the first goal, Napoli crumbled to see us win 3-0 on the night and progress with a 4-3 aggregate win. The round of 16 draw continued to be unkind to us, as this season we were drawn against Manchester City. We were at home first and Ricardo Ruiz put us into the lead, and João Marques added a second in the second half to see us win the game 2-0. But it feels like we've seen this story before. However, this time at the Etihad, despite winning the game, we progressed thanks to João Marques firing home in the 92nd minute to see us win the tie 4-3 on aggregate. This saw us progress into the quarterfinals for the first time in this rebuild, where we would take on RB Leipzig. We were in Germany for the first leg, which ended goalless, and the second leg only had 1 goal in it, as Ricardo Ruiz continued his remarkable goal-scoring run to send us into the semis, where we'd face Real Madrid. And sadly, that is something we've seen all too often in this rebuild. We were at home for the first leg, where Madrid took the lead early through Yeremy Pino. We did pool level through Pineda, scoring against his former club yet again, but an own goal from Kerkez and an Ivan Fresneda goal saw Madrid put in a commanding position. Marco Modric did pull a goal back for us in injury time, but we knew we'd face an uphill battle at the Bernabeu. And an uphill battle it was, as Madrid scored 3 unanswered goals to move into the final, which happened to be at a Clásico, and Barcelona won the trophy via penalty shootout. But domestically for us, the successful runs in the cup competitions did impact our league form. We started well, as we always do, but it was our form in April that saw us only pick up 3 points from 15, suffering 4 defeats. And when you add the other fixtures back in, April was a shocking month for us and basically derailed our whole season. But considering where this Malaga side was 10 seasons ago in the 3rd tier, I'd say this club has been rebuilt successfully. And if you want to pick up this save, if you are a Malaga fan, the save files are over on my Patreon right now. Links to that will be in the description. And if you do like the rebuild content, check out this playlist. It's all the rebuilds that we've done on FM24.